All right, this is the Philips Respironics Cough Assist. This is the T70 model, the newest one out there. Just a few things about it. We'll get it turned on and working. In the front you can see we've got toggles that are similar if you have used the Trilogy ventilator, where we can select things that are on the screen and toggle up and down to make menu choices here. We've got the power switch here, and then this is a toggle for actually triggering the insufflation and exsufflation if we were going to do that manually. Commonly that's not used, but it is there. The outlet of the air is on the side. Here typically we'll have a bacteria filter, so I'll go ahead and place that right on there right now. And then in the back we've got a filter, so that'll need to be cleaned from time to time. It's a removable foam filter, so it's easy to clean. And down here we've got power, so we can put there our AC power cord. I'll go ahead and just plug that in right here. And then we've got an option for other devices to be added in. I'm going to skip over those, but then we've got DC power here, optional for plugging into a vehicle or that type of power, or a battery. Same battery that's used on the Trilogy ventilator can be placed in there. Right now this is just a plastic cover over it. We'll go ahead and turn around the other side and just show you that there's an SD card that is a data card similar to, or the same card that would be in a Trilogy ventilator. So if you want a documentation of therapy for the cough assist, you could do that. So let's go ahead and get it plugged in. I'll show you how the cough assist is used. There's a couple of ways that can be used. And tubing typically is just 6-foot CPAP tubing is what's commonly used on it. I'll go ahead and attach that on the side here to our filter. And then on the end, we'll need a 22 millimeter adapter, and that can be used to adapt whatever patient interface we're going to use. So we can put that there. If this is for a face mask patient, the face mask would just attached here. And these are non-vented masks. This is a mask just like off of a resuscitation bag that's used. It's important that it's a nicely cushioned mask because it does take a little bit of pressure to push on the face in order to get a good seal. So that choose a mask that's cushioned very well. The other option is go direct to the trach, and that can be done with any trach swivel adapter. Again, there's not a whisper swivel or any kind of a leak involved here, so when we do the therapy with the trach patient, we would just do maybe a couple of breaths at a time, up to 5 at a time, and then remove it and put them back on ventilation or let them breathe spontaneously, whatever the case is with them. So what I'm going to do for the demonstration is put this on a test lung, similar to what we would do for a ventilator. And then let's go ahead and turn the unit on. It's going to be a little bit loud, make some noise. And we'll go ahead, and you notice that when it comes up, we're in standby mode. And in standby mode, we can go ahead and make adjustments if we want to, look into the menu for options and that kind of thing. So let's just take a peek into the menu. If we go here, we can go into our options menu, and in options we can go down and change different things like the units of measure for pressure and the brightness of the screen, different things like that. So typically once this is set, we're not going to change it. I recommend just staying full access with the menu so that can be accessed at any time. And then there's a number of presets in here that will come into play later. You can do up to 3 different settings preset into the cough assist. Again, once these are set, typically we're not doing a whole lot as far as changing them. So I'll go ahead and push finish. and we'll exit that menu. Actually, we'll go down and just show you that we can go and select and look at different data, that like the serial number and calibration and that kind of thing. There's also an informational log, and there's nothing in there right now. And we can clear the patient data and then write the activity log or the event log onto the card. These are all, if you're familiar, again, mentioning the trilogy, if you're familiar with the trilogy, that's the same function. But let's get on to settings so that we can see how we set up a cough assist. The whole idea behind a cough assist is, you notice here we've got an inhale pressure, that's at 40 centimeters. And down here I've got an exhale pressure of minus 40 centimeters. And you can see on the graph next to it what the cough assist does. You can see the function, and you'll notice that the cough assist is designed to give a breath here and give a positive pressure breath, hold that for a certain amount of time, which is this 2-second mark here. It holds that breath in and then immediately goes to negative pressure, just like you would a cough. You would take a deep breath, hold it for a bit, and then cough. That's the exhale pressure. Hold that for a little bit and then back up to normal. So that's the graphic view of what we're doing here. The settings, what we're looking at here is a preset 1. And if we wanted to change that, you notice I've got modify over here. So if I go ahead and just press modify, I can go over to that setting. And if I had more settings in there, I could go to preset 2, preset 3 for changes that I want to have in there. Probably not real commonly used, but it's a nice option. So we're in preset 1 right now. And then we'll go down to the mode. In the mode section, we can choose auto, which is what I would recommend. Auto will automatically deliver a breath on demand, either with this or by cough track, which is flow triggering. So if the patient takes a breath, it would trigger and deliver that breath when the patient demanded it. So we're in the auto mode. I would recommend that, and I'd also recommend staying in the cough track mode. In the cough track mode, we can turn it off, we can turn it on. And I should mention that up in the mode section, we can easily go to manual also. Manual would require us triggering the breaths with this switch. And then advanced auto is typically not used, so we would go to advanced auto. I'll just mention advanced auto gives you more settings that we can adjust on it, and the number of coughs that we want it to give, where it would give a number of coughs in a row. Again, what the most common is auto. So I'll stick in the auto mode, and we'll use cough track on. And again, cough track right here is the triggering mechanism or flow trigger that allows the patient to trigger the cough track when it's going to give the breath. Then we just decide what inhale pressure we want to use in centimeters of water pressure, what exhale pressure we want to use in centimeters of water pressure, and the optimum, typically anyway, is about 40 centimeters. But many times in starting, if we want to start a patient on therapy, we might start them down here at maybe 20 centimeters just to make the therapy a little easier to tolerate, and then work our way up as the patient gets accustomed to it up to the 40 centimeter mark. And these are all optional. What we do is do what's optimum cough for the patient. So it may take more, it may take less. And then our inhale flow, I would just recommend sticking with medium for the inhale flow. And that is our inspiratory time, how long it takes to give the breath. Medium seems to be the most comfortable for most people. And then we've got time for inhale. And notice we've got time for exhale too. 2 seconds is just about right. Most people feel comfortable with that. more than 2 seconds, people feel air deprived if we hold that for too long. And then we've got an option down here also for oscillation. Oscillation is a fluttering of the airway, and you'll notice it'll even show up in the graph right here. These lines are straight, you'll notice. And if I turn on oscillation, you notice that I get the squiggly line that shows the fluttering of the air pressure to hopefully shake the lung and cause a little bit more movement of secretions. So there's an inhale, there's an exhale, flutter or oscillation, and there's both. So we can set it for both. For my example right now, we'll just turn this off just to show you what the inhalation and exhalation looks like. So now we've got it set. We've got it set to the optimum pressures, 2 seconds time for inhale and exhale. And we'll say OK, and we'll finish the setup. And now there's our settings button. Here's our menu button. We go over to therapy. So I'm going to, with the test lung on here, I'll trigger this just like we were triggering a ventilator. And what I'll be doing is just squeezing the lung, letting go. And by letting go, it creates enough inspiratory flow that it'll trigger on the cough track response that we've got on the set on the machine. So you can see here we've got it set at in the auto mode with cough track on. So I'm going to hit therapy. I'm going to get a little bit loud here now. But here therapy is started. So I'm going to trigger the ventilator or trigger the cough track here, and you can see the action where it delivers a positive pressure breath and immediately goes to negative in order to produce a cough flow. And as that's done, we can see the inflation flow is 682 millimeters, and the flow, the cough flow, is about 108, so we can track those mechanisms as we go. So every time the patient inhales, they get the 40 centimeters. It immediately switches to exhale. Again, it's mimicking a cough, so that anytime, like we would cough, we would take a deep breath and then force that out quickly to move secretions. So let me just show you what the oscillation looks like. Oscillation is thought to be able to produce a little extra movement, and I'll put it on both, of the secretions by fluttering the airway. So now I've got that on, so I'll say OK, and you can see the oscillation shows up here on inhalation and exhalation. And we'll finish. Oh, and by the way, there's both a frequency, which is how fast the oscillation occurs, and there's an amplitude. Amplitude would be how big an oscillation. So in other words, if I go here, you'll notice on the screen, the higher I go, whoop, not as high as we can go, but I can narrow down that oscillation. As you can see, there's 1, and then we can go up to 10 for more oscillation. So we'll make it real obvious and leave it at 10. We'll say OK and finish. And now let's go to therapy, and you can see the difference that oscillation makes. You can see the difference in the pressure operation here. You probably also can see the tubing flutter quite a bit. This is pretty extreme, so it might not be real comfortable for all patients, but I just want to give you an idea of what that looks like. So that is the Philips Cough Assist. We'll put it back in standby mode.